Welcome back, everybody, for the final Dine to Learn of the season of Tufshin Ayin Vav, summer Tufshin Ayin Vav. Sharich Shlomo Pessin, who made it every week, we think, and everyone else who made it for almost every week is summer vacation schedule. So you don't have to schedule vacations around Dine and Learn, but if you did, Avshalom, I think you missed a week, right?
2 or 3 others.
Okay, well, it's all on the website on the KehilaMP.com and on YouTube, the audio. Okay, so we learned Perek Zayin of Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, talked about Nevuah. We basically finished it, but I just want to go back and focus on 3 ideas. And in particular, there's one Gemara which raises three ideas that we discussed into one big kasha. The Gemara is as follows. So before we get to the Gemara, so we mentioned already that the Smag, in his Hakdama to Mitzvah Saseh, points out that the last Navi in Tanakh is Malachi, and the very end of Malachi, he says, Zichra Torah, Moshe Avdi, remember the Torah. Why is he telling us to remember the Torah? Because there won't be Nevuah for thousands of years. Hine Enochi Shaleach Lachem Es Eliyah HaNavi, Livnei Vo Yom Hashem HaGadol VeHanora, that's the next time we'll have Nevuah. Yom HaGadol VeHanora. So it's a long time. So that's why Malachi had to remind us, Zichru Teras Moshe, between Malachi and Eliyahu, no Nevuah. Okay. So if we look at the Gemara and at the end of Sota, basically says the same idea. Mishemesu Chagai Zechariah Malachi, it's Memches Amud Beis. Mishemesu Chagai Zechariah Malachi, Nistalka Ruach HaKodesh, Yisrael. There's no more Ruach HaKodesh, which is a lower level than Nevuah. Even that, there's not, maybe some people have a different gears in the Gemara, but let's take it at face value. There's no more Ruach HaKodesh after Malachi, the last of the Nevi'im. But they still use the Baskol, which is a lower level, whatever that means. It's a machlokes. The Rif has a tshuva on that. There's a discussion about what this Baskol is, but it's lower than Ruach HaKodesh. And then the Gemara gives 2 stories. First story, Shepam Achas Hayu Mesubin Ba'aliyas Beis Guria Be'Yericho. The Chachamim, they were in this upper chamber in the home of Guria in Yericho. Nasna Aleihin Baskol Min HaShamayim, they received this Baskol, this heavenly transmission. V'amar Yesh Bachem Adam Echad Sheroi Shetishra Shechina Olav. There's one person among you, or one person in Klal Yisrael at that time, who is worthy of having a Shechina, having the Nevuah. El She'ein Doro Roi. Generation is not worthy. L'chach Nasnu Einayim BeHillel Hazakin. They all looked at Hillel saying, you're the guilty party. And Hispidiu Chasid Hayanav Talmido Shel Ezra. And when he was nifter, so they gave him a hesped like he was a Talmud of Ezra Hanavi, Ezra Sofer. Vishu Pam Acheres Hayim Mesubim Ba'aliyah. Now this is long time after. Hillel was during the second bais. Now we're talking after the Churban. And there was a gathering in the Aliyah in Yavna. They were in Yavna. Nasna Lahen Baskol Min HaShamayim Ve'omra Lahen Yesh B'chem Adam Echad Sheroi Shetishra Shechina Alav. Again, there's one person among you who's worthy of having Nevuah. El She'ein Doro Zakayin L'chach. The generation is not worthy. Nasnu Einayim B'Shmuel HaKatan. And they looked at Shmuel HaKatan. And he was a guilty party. He was worthy of being a Navi. That's how holy he was. But his generation wasn't worthy. So if you remember back in Halacha... in Halacha Zayin, Hanavi Efshar Shetia Nevuaso La'atzmo Bilvad. A Navi can get Nevuah for himself. Just because he reached that highest level of Kedusha, he deserves to go that extra level and have that transformative experience that is Nevuah. But there could also be a Navi who is sent to speak to the people. So why, I'm asking why, Hillel and Shmuel HaKatan, okay, they didn't deserve, they couldn't be a Nevi'im to be sent to the people because the people weren't worthy of getting a Navi. Well, what's wrong with themselves? Why couldn't they get Nevuah for themselves? They're tzaddikim, they reach a level, nature should have it, and Hashem should allow them to be Nevi'im. Why not? And if you remember back in Halacha Hey, Elu Shehem Mevakshin Lehisnabe, these people who want to become a Navi, they're training, they go through the regimen, they have only holy thoughts, and they study Pardes, and they do everything right. They're called Bnei Navim, they're Navim in training. Even though they try very hard, it's possible to get Nevuah, the Efshar Shelo Tishra. Possible it won't come. It's all up to Kodesh Baruch Hu, right? Which the Rambam explained in Moreh Nevuchim. There are three views. The third view, he said, is that it's all up to Hashem. You have to do your part. You have to be worthy, and then Hashem will take it to the extra level if He wants to, if Hashem wants to. So the question remains on Hillel and Shmuel HaKatan. Why didn't they become Nevi'im? Is it because Hashem just decided if the generation is not worthy, so nobody gets it? Just the decree from HaKadosh Baruch Hu with no explanation? Or is there another explanation to it? So we could go the easy way and say, that's just the rules. Hashem sets the rules, and He doesn't want to give it to Nevuah if the generation is not worthy. Even if no one's going to know about it, it'll be a secret. Nobody has to tell. We could go a different direction, quoting the Rabbi Mendelssohn's favorite Rambam, in Hilchos Deis Perek Vav. And I'm quoting here from edition by Rav Yosef Kafach. He was nifter 10 years ago. He was a Yemenite scholar who moved to Eretz Yisrael. I'm quoting this edition for a reason, because he has a little footnote that's a little zinger. So Derech Briyaso Shel Adam Lios Nimshach B'Deyosav V'Masav Achareya V'Chaverav. The normal path for a human being is that you are influenced in your attitudes and in your actions by your friends, by the people around you. V'Noag B'Minag Anshe Medinoso, and you act in the same way to some degree as everyone else. You're normal. They're normal. You're just being normal. And the definition, the standard of normal, also affects you. Therefore, a person has to hang out from people, tzaddikim, who will influence you positively. And always be around people who are tamidei chachamim, so you can learn from them. And there's zingers in here. I'm going to keep reading because it gets good. Stay away from Rishoim, so you don't learn from them. Bad to be around Rishonim, good to be around Tzadikim. The first pasuk in Tehillim. And also, if you're in a country and the practices are bad, and people aren't walking and going the right path, they're acting improperly, find a better place to go. Go where people act well, so they'll influence you positively. Hold on, there's a zinger coming. But if every country you've ever heard of, act badly, everyone in the entire world that you know of, the known world, acts improperly, like in our generation, the Rambam writes, in the 1000s, he was in Egypt, but the whole known world to him, and said every single country is bad. So what do? Or, she'enu yachal leilech limdina shemina gosea tovim b'pnei hagaisos b'pnei hacholi. You can't go there. You don't have a passport. For whatever reason, you can't go there. You can't go to a good country. Yeshiv levado yechidi. So go by yourself. Go into the caves. Live by yourself. Shut the door. Vim hayu roim v'chatoim she'manichim also leishev b'mdina. And if they're so bad that they won't let you shutter yourself into your house and not deal with anybody. They won't let you unless you are out with the common people acting the same way they do. As Rav Kafach living in Eretz Yisrael in a footnote, Kmoz Manenu Zeh, like in Eretz Yisrael in the past, whoever knows, and in America, run, get out of there, go to the deserts. And you shouldn't act like the Rishonim. You shouldn't hang out with the Rishonim no matter what. Says the Rambam, run away. What did the Rambam do? He didn't run away. So why didn't he run away? So we could give Svar. My Svar is that there's actually a mitzvah. You have to influence other people. You have to be with other people. You have to understand them. And the Rambam, as a leader of Klal Yisrael, couldn't just run away. He had to be there. So what's the deal with Hillel and Shmuel HaKatan? So they lived in a door that wasn't worthy of Nevuah, and they couldn't run away, and therefore they were influenced negatively, and they themselves were not worthy of Nevuah. So they couldn't even get the Nevuah, the personal Nevuah, which nobody would know about, unless nobody had to know about. They couldn't get that because the generation wasn't worthy, therefore Hillel and Shmuel HaKatan weren't worthy either.
And the Gemara says they were worthy. It's not the Gemara.
Except the influence of the other people.
But the Gemara still says that they were worthy.
Right. So
Except that because of the Dor,
because of the
it doesn't say the Dor influenced them. They still were deserving.
Oh, that's well.
That's how you want to interpret.
If you say they are worthy, then they're worthy.
That's how you want to interpret.
I want to. Yeah, there is an except. It's not an absolute statement. There's an except.
With
So
the Rambam, can't the Rambam, the second part of the Rambam, because what Kapach added is not what the Rambam said. In other words, he stayed in Egypt because they weren't trying to influence him to the negative, but he stayed to himself.
he didn't stay to himself.
What do you mean?
We know his day. He actually gives a diary of what he did on a daily basis, and he spent half the day in the king's court healing people.
That's not considered by himself. Because
He's
out
literally
with
he's
people.
literally with the king and the.
Does the Rambam has to be referring to every single person, or only some people are subject to influence and some people aren't?
He says derech briyaso shaladim. Sounds like it's like a law of nature.
But perhaps he thinks that certain people are not subject, and that's why he didn't feel like he had to run away.
You could. I really doubt that. You could say that. I wouldn't go in that direction.
I have to agree with the Rambam because they weren't influenced. They were right.
Okay. So when the Gemara says Ella, meaning except, rather, but, so it depends what the but means. Meaning they were roi, but they were not worried, except for one thing, or they were worried, but there was a totally external condition that was not fulfilled, that the door wasn't roi. So two ways of reading the qualification.
The Rambam doesn't say it's an isser. You're allowed to stay. It's not an usher. He says he's making a recommendation. Run away and so on, so you don't get negative influence. You're suggesting that he had a purpose. He had to try to influence everyone else. So even though it could negatively have influenced him, but since he had a separate purpose, and it wasn't usher to stay with he's saying, so it would be okay to do what he did.
To influence other people, or even just to pass in a shaila.
So you have to be there.
You have to understand how people operate. You have to be more of imabrios just to answer to pass in a shaila on the.
Right. If it was usher, Rambam says the nature man's do is if I recommend the following. If it was usher, you wouldn't be allowed to.
Right, but
it could happen. So, but I have to take my chance because I have a more important purpose.
And remember, it's in Hilchos Deis, where he's telling people what's the proper way. So he's saying that's the proper way. By the way, I also found this answer in the Rush had a grandson, Reb Meir ibn Gabai. His most famous sefer is Shvilei Emunah, and another sefer, Avodas HaKodesh, he asks this question and gives specifically this answer. So I found a Rishon who says exactly that same thing, that really they weren't rowing. Hillel and Shmuel Katan. So I'd like to. So we said there's no nevuah, no even ruach hakodesh. There's actually the. I think I mentioned once. There's a tshuva of the Divrei Chaim. There was a malamed in a Hasidic cheder or Hungarian cheder who taught that the Orach Chaim, the parish Orach Chaim on Chumash, was not written by ruach hakodesh, and they brought to the Divrei Chaim, the sons of Rav. What should we do with this Malamed? And that Divrei Chaim said he's an apikoros. You have to fire him. So the irony is the Orach Chaim himself in Parshas Noach says there's no Ruach HaKodesh b'zman hazeh. Not only is there no Ruach HaKodesh, there's no Reach HaKodesh. Meaning, it was a clever play on words. So how do you answer up the Divrei Chaim? So the Sfarim worked very hard. But what I'm trying to get at here is that the Orach Chaim himself says there's no Ruach HaKodesh b'zman hazeh. So why is that a kasha? So there's a biography of the Ravid written by. Well, before we go there, let me quote you a Ravid here in Hilchos Lulav. Hadas shenikdam rosho. A hadas that the top of it is cut off. It's machlok is what the din is, and the Rambam paskins hadas shenikdam rosho kosher. It's kosher. Okay. So the Ravid says, listen to this. Kvar hofia ruach hakodesh beveis midrashenu mikam hashanim. For many years we had ruach hakodesh in our beis midrash vehelenu shehu pasal kistam masnisin, and we concluded it's pasal. It's not good. So he disagreed with the Rambam, but the language he says is we had ruach hakodesh in our beis midrash for many years. And the Ravid uses this kind of language many different places. In Hilchos Mishka V'Moshav.
Was it based on the Ruach HaKodesh that they did this?
I'll read you the language.
I don't know. Is that what...
They had Ruach HaKodesh in our Beis Midrash Mikam Hashanim for many years, Ve'helenu, and we concluded Shehu Puzzle. That the psak it's puzzle.
Why is he throwing that in over here if it's not based on that?
Okay, so that's So there are two possible reasons why he would say that. But before we go there, in Hilchos Mishkav Moshe, so there's a Mishnah in Zavim talking about if you sit on top of a press, a mashkev shel kobes, which is like some sort of an ironing, two pieces of stone that go together to iron and press clothes, and someone who's tamei sits on top of it. Things that are underneath that, those become tamei or not? It's machlokes in the Mishnah. And the Rambam paskins I believe he paskins it's kosher, it's tahor. I could get that wrong. And the Ravid disagrees at length based on the Tosefta, and he has really strong, lomdasha arguments, and he concludes, Baruch Hashem asher gila sodo li re'ov. Hashem revealed the secret, the answer to us. And then another sefer of his Tamim Deim, he says, Kach hiruni min hashamayim. This is how they told me, show me from heaven, and he uses that language a lot. What's going on with the Ravid? So there's a biography written of the Ravid by Professor Yitzchak Twersky. He was a son of the Talmud Rebbe, eventually became the Talmud Rebbe in Boston himself, the son-in-law of Rav Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik, and a professor in Harvard. And he wrote a biography of the Ravid, and at the very end of the biography, he quotes some scholars who say they quote this language from the Ravid, and he has incredible bakiyas. He was a big Talmud Chacham. He quotes more places in the Ravid, and he says some scholars think that he was some sort of a makubal who thought it was a navi, and he says no. And he does this in a very academic. You have to look at the literary style and this and that. He says no. The Ravid is saying I'm 100% sure this is a psak halacha. He had siyata d'shmaya. All he's saying is he had siyata d'shmaya. And if you look in other Rishonim, the Ravid lived in Provence, in the south of France, where the Meiri lived. Meiri uses the same language. The Meiri says, Kach hironi min hashamayim. Did the Meiri, did he also have the Ibn Ezra uses that kind of language. The Ibn Ezra get Nevuah also. It's a literary style to say, I had siyata d'shmaya, I learned Geshmak, and my base medrash, our learning is so great, it's Ruach HaKodesh going through the air. That's how great the Kol Torah is. So that's what the Ravid meant. He didn't ask the kasha that the Gemara says Nistalka Ruach Hakodesh Mishmeiz Chagad Zechar Yom Malachi, but he could have asked the kasha because it's a Gemara. Of course, the Ravid didn't mean he had Ruach Hakodesh literally. He meant he had Siyata D'Shmaya and all the other Rishonim also. There was a Bala Tosfos they called Reb Ezra Hanavi. So just the fact that they call him Reb Ezra Hanavi, some scholars say he Siptor Makobel thought he had Nevuah, but Pashas is that was not it could be he was a guy who gave Moser. And in Tanakh, the Nevi'im were the Balei Moser. It could be he had just incredible siyata d'shmaya. There's so many reasons he could have been called a Navi. A Navi is from Lashon Niv Sfasayim, you speak beautifully. It could be he's just a beautiful speaker. There's so many reasons he could have been called Reb Ezra Hanavi that you don't have to go that, especially when the Gemara says there's no Nevuah, there's no Ruach HaKodesh. And it's a Beferish Orach Chaim on Chumash, right? It's Orach Chaim.
How do you define the Sefer Magid Yeshar?
That's definitely not Nevuah. Not Ruach HaKodesh either. It was some sort of a revelation that he had. This lower level, and it was in a dream. Well, actually, that's not doesn't prove anything, as we discussed. Nevuah was also in a dream. But it's...
Isn't it just possible that people use the term Ruach HaKodesh in a non-specific manner?
Yeah, it's a turn of phrase. They don't mean it literally. It's a non-literal...
We're still talking about that they're having some sort of siyata d'shmaya, which is certainly not, it's nothing. It's not
right.
Nothing.
Right, like we even said scientists, according to the Rambam, have this kind of siyata d'shmaya as well. Right? The Rambam said if you have the great, you're intellectual, but you're not such a great imaginative faculty, so then these scientists, some of them, they get the siyata d'shmaya to increase in science, and some even write science books. So Kavachomer Talmud Chacham would also have siyata d'shmaya.
My point is really, where do you draw the line between the Rambam's definition of Ruach HaKodesh and Ammonia Amos' definition of Ruach HaKodesh?
Siyata d'shmaya.
We use it as siyata d'shmaya, but there's obviously many different levels of siyata d'shmaya. So at what point in time does that, cross over into Ruach HaKodesh? You can't really define siyata d'shmaya.
I don't know why you can't define siyata d'shmaya. Maybe you could define it.
When he uses the term Ruach HaKodesh, maybe it means a very high level of siyata d'shmaya.
Maybe.
Something that they were able to intrinsically feel.
You're looking at it like on a spectrum.
Some
So one thing.
You're saying it should be taken literally. He really did.
Some cipher where somebody asked him a question, and he said to me, "Tell me, did you made up this question?" And he said, and the guy says, "How do you know it?" And he just wrote down this. Actually, this is, I think, brought down by Zilberberg says. And he says, because I had no siyata d'shmaya, and answer your parents. Usually I have siyata d'shmaya when I'm positing. I didn't feel it.
So that
There's some sort of level of siyata d'shmaya where it can be intrinsically felt. And who knows how many different levels there are, and when you can define it as Ruach HaKodesh versus a whole lot of different layers of different.
the underlying yesod, the Rambam's explanation of all this is that it can be defined, and you can
So
tell.
he defines it one way.
Right.
But my point is, maybe not everybody else defines
Especially the Ravid. Ravid always disagrees with the Rambam, right?
Right,
So-
he just defines it in different ways. For him, Ruach HaKodesh is a high level of siyata d'shmaya. For the Orach Chaim HaKodesh, it might be the Rambam's definition, and that's why he said he didn't have it. But for the Sons of Rav, it was more siyata d'shmaya, and therefore he did have it.
Okay, so you want to say it's all a matter of how you define Ruach HaKodesh, and that is the basis of the different approaches or different understandings. Could be. You need to, before you say such a thing, you need to try to put it all together and bring a few proofs of who says what. But maybe there's a uniquely Ravid definition of Ruach HaKodesh, and there's a unique Orach Chaim definition of Ruach HaKodesh, and a unique Divrei Chaim definition of Ruach HaKodesh. And that's what the Hasidic Svarim, like the Pardes Yosef, tries to split out. There are actually multiple levels of Ruach HaKodesh, and the Orach Chaim is talking about a higher level, and the Divrei Chaim is talking about a lower level, and the Malamed was talking even about he said the Orach Chaim didn't have any Ruach HaKodesh at all, which maybe means even he had no Siyata D'Shmaya.
Did you see anyone talking about this idea that Rashi had Ruach HaKodesh? Have you ever seen that quoted?
I've seen it quoted. I
Is there any source?
very late. I've seen it late, like in 1800s, around when Chassidus started. I'm not blaming them. I don't know who said it first. I don't remember seeing it in like the Balei Tosfos, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just totally mistaken on this. I don't know. Okay, so Bismana that we don't have Nevuah. So what do? So I saw Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, former chief rabbi of England, said something, and I'm going to disagree with it, but I'm going to agree with him also. He said like this. I've seen him write it a few times. He says there's such a concept of prediction, right? We see it on the op-ed pages of the newspapers all the time. You have your economists, you have your sociologists, the lawyers, the politicians. Everybody's got an idea of what's going to happen, and they give their predictions. He says Nevuah is very different. A prediction is successful, he says, if it comes true. A Nevuah is successful if it doesn't come true. So on its own, as a blatant statement, that's totally wrong, right? But he meant something there. He meant something there. So, for example, let's say Al Gore with all his global warming thing, right? So he didn't want it to come true. He wanted us to do something and to stop it. So he was the Torah's Navi there to some degree because he wanted to stop. He's giving a prediction of what would happen if we don't change. And that's really what a Navi is about. A Navi, so there are two types of Nevuah. There's a Nechama and there's a Tochacha. Nechama is, this is good, and that's always going to happen. If a Navi says something's good going to happen, it's always going to happen. What Rabbi Sachs is probably talking about is a Tochacha. There will be a Chorban unless you do Tshuva. And the Navi's goal is to get people to do Tshuva, not for the Chorban to come. The Navi doesn't want the Chorban.
Same for Yonah.
Sorry?
Same for Yonah. Didn't bring the pocket, but they did Tshuva, so it didn't.
Exactly. Tshuva can tear up the Gzar Din, like with Yonah and Ninveh. And the Navi doesn't want, Yonah actually he did want Ninveh to be destroyed. But generally speaking, a Navi doesn't want people to die, people to suffer, bad things to happen. He wants people to do tshuva. As opposed to prediction, you want to show how smart you are, that you know what's going to happen next. So, who do we have today? We don't have Nevi'im today. So how do we know to avoid the disaster? So I saw an amazing, haunting explanation in the Sefer Toras Avram by Avram Grudzinski. He was the last Mashgiach of Sabatka in Mussar Shmuzin he gave in 1937 in Lithuania. Avram Grudzinski, he was the one who, together with Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, they gave two shiurim. Rabbi Chanan gave a shiur on Lamdus and Halacha and Hilchos Yehori Val Yavor and Pikuach Nefesh, and Rabbi Avram Grudzinski gave Divrei Musar and inspiration right before they were taken away by the Nazis. So few years before that, he was still giving Moshe Shmuzin in the yeshiva in Slobodka. And they're published. He was Yaakov Kamenetsky's brother-in-law. And they're published by the family in the 1970s. They put it into a beautiful sefer, Torah Savram. And he has this idea of, Zman Hazeh, we don't have Nevuah. So what do we have to tell us when we're on the wrong path? Usually, most Averos are not mazid. We don't do them on purpose. We make mistakes. We're on the wrong path. So how do we get, without a Navi coming to tell us you're on the wrong path, how do we know? So he says, Nevuah b'zman hazeh is yisurim, suffering. When something bad happens, the Gemara says, you have to yifashmish b'maisav, look at what you're doing, try to figure it out, what you did wrong to fix it. Because the whole point of the yisurim is that you should fix it. Hashem doesn't want us to suffer. Hashem wants us to be better people, better Jews. So yisurim serve the role of the Navi b'zman hazeh. The Gemara Megillah, Dalet Amud Aleph says, Gedola hasaras hatabas mimemches neviim and nevios. That's and zayin nevios. Right? When Hashem gave the tabas to Haman, and made more people do tshuva than all the neviim and nevios. Because Yisurim, suffering, unfortunately, the way humans work is if a rabbi gets up and screams, we don't necessarily do tshuva. But if something starts hurting really badly, that makes us do tshuva. There's no atheist in a foxhole, they say. So if you're in the foxhole, lo Elenu, Hashem is going to give us a foxhole. We don't have Nevi'im nowadays. So Rav Grudzinski goes further. He says there's actually some things that Yisurim are better than a Navi. Some things a Navi's better. Navi's better is because you know what he tells you for sure. Yisurim come, you have to try to figure out what's wrong. What happened? Navi will tell you, this is what you're doing wrong. He'll smack you on the side of the head and say, stop it. Yisurim don't do that. Yisurim don't tell you, stop cheating out the poor. Not like the Navi does. Yisurim just tell you something wrong, and you have to look Mida Keneged Mida. Sometimes you have to be creative to figure out the Mida Keneged Mida. It's not always obvious. But there are other ways that Yisurim are better. A Navi, no one had their personal Navi, or almost nobody. David HaMelech had a personal Navi, because he was a Melech. No one had their own personal Navi come knock on their door and say, this is what you're doing wrong, fix it. The Navi spoke to Klal Yisrael. He spoke to groups, big groups of people. So any individual living the time of Nevuah, they did not have their own personal Navi to tell them, change your path. Yisurim speaks to every single person individually. And in that sense, it's better because it talks to all of the small people. You don't have to be a Melech to find out what Hashem is thinking and what you need to fix. Yisurim do the trick. It's a beautiful idea. Through Yisurim, we become our own Navi. We look to ourselves, we figure out what's wrong, and then we tell ourselves, you have to stop. And of course, we all know, when you work on something yourself, when something comes to you from outside, so you don't pay attention, you don't remember, you learn if you hear a shir, and I apologize, if you hear a shir, you retain less than if you prepare for the shir. Because when you work on your own, it touches you more. When you are your own Navi, it makes a greater impression on you. And in that sense, Yisurim are better. Grudzinski goes so far, in 1937 Lithuania, to say Yisurim are chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amazing. Because through that chesed, we can do tshuva. It's amazing. Wow. So he says, nowadays, we don't have a Navi, we don't have Nevuah. All we have to guide us on what we're doing wrong is this Yisurim, which should help us as individuals, as groups, as Klal Yisrael, to see what we're doing wrong. And like you said, this is not about Mezidim. This is not about people who intentionally do Averos. It helps us see where we're mistaken and where we're misled, and help us go fix our path. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing. So to finish up what we've talked about this summer, Perek Zayin is the main part of Nevuah, the Rambam's discussion of Nevuah. We spoke a little bit about Perek Ches and Perek Tes, about the uniqueness of Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah, and why Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah is so important, that it be unique and be totally different than anything else. Because as we saw, the Rambam very clearly hints that when you hold Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah is better, then if a Muhammad or if a Yashka come up, we just say, no, thank you, it's not for us. Because we believe in Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah, which is unique and not like anyone else's. But we also saw that Nevuah is the top of the ladder like we learned from Reb Pinchas ben Yair in the saying that the Mesilas Yesharim made famous, the Gemara in Avodah Zarah, that life is from Zehiris, Zrizis to Zehiris to Zrizis to Nikias, and on. It's a step, it's a progression. And Nevuah is at the top of the progression. And even though it's up to Kadosh Baruch Hu whether we make that final step, all the steps until then. And this is the power of the Rambam as opposed to the Abarbanel. Remember, the Abarbanel said, Kadosh Baruch Hu can make anyone a Navi. Frog, a donkey, it's all up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a miracle. And miracles are miracles. The Rambam said, no, you have to be worthy of the miracle. Hashem won't, the way Hashem set it up is you have to make yourself worthy, and then He'll take you that extra step. And even if we can't go that extra step, even if we can't make it, and as we saw, the conditions are very, very tough, even if we can't make it, every step we take will get us that closer to Ruach HaKodesh and to Kedusha and to Shechina. So everyone should have a wonderful Elul and Yom Tovim and winter and spring, and Yom Hashem next year we'll continue in Yerushalayim.
I'd like to personally thank every student, publicly thank every student for the shiur given during the summer and as Shemantz the shul. I feel bad that I'm away, but I am very, very happy that I know that every student is here teaching and that it continues to enhance all of the Ruach and Yiddishkeit.